Good morning, fellow traders. It's Black Coffee Trader. Today is Thursday, June the 5th. Back at it today. Took the day off yesterday. It looks like we had pretty much a sideways day yesterday. I am cautiously optimistic, or I shouldn't say it that way. I should say cautiously bullish on the market today. I say cautiously because there's a big area to look for. I have to just show it to you on the daily chart on ES. This is something I noticed here this morning. There is definitely a reason to be bullish on this market. There's also a reason to be very careful. If you look at this 6,000 area, we'll call it right around the 6,000 area. Notice the last couple of days, we're kind of over the last, a couple of weeks, we've been kind of bumping our head around that 6,000 level on ES. Notice as well, if you go back here to October of 2024, last year, this was a resistance area right here. And then we flipped that and we held that area in November. And we largely held that area all the way through until we get into February of this, end of February of this year. Right here, we had some little liquidity grabs, if you will, but largely this area was holding as support and pushing the market higher. In March, we had the sell-off started and we had this big tumble in the markets, and we are right back up against that area here. The other thing worth noting is you have the daily 20 and the daily 200 moving averages both converging right at the 5,900 level. So the daily 20 has caught up to the daily 200, and that is at a significant point right here as well, an area we've had some previous support. So there's a lot of things that look like this is going to push higher. If it does, I think we have a very good opportunity to push this thing up and to test the all-time highs. We also could see a rejection coming in here. If this does not break through, we could see this basically be a rejection of this big level and see the big flip holding and pushing us back down. Again, I am cautiously optimistic because of that. There's several factors here that lead me to believe that this may go to further upside, but it could also just as easily reject. So the thing to look for, in my opinion, today, let's flip to the 30-minute chart here this morning, is if we can break and hold above yesterday's high of day, above the 6,000 area, possibly above these highs coming in from last week. If we can break and get above that, we've got a free move, with some resistance here around the 6,045, 6,050s. If we can get beyond that, there's a big move potential on ES, and that probably is something to look for as far as all the markets are concerned. So if you look at the sideways day yesterday, the low of day coming in around the 59.75s, definitely see some reactions to that level back here around the middle of May, towards the latter part of May. And so if that continues to hold, if the overnight or if yesterday's low of day continues to hold, and I actually think the overnight is sitting about, I think the overnight's sitting pretty much right there, right in that area where I put that level. If that continues to hold, we definitely could look to take some longs off that level. We obviously have news coming out this morning at 8:30. We have unemployment claims, so that definitely probably will move the market to some level, and that could, negate some of this, at least at the outset. But right now, if that should hold, if we fall below this low of day from yesterday and kind of this overnight low that we're seeing right now, possibly taking a short. This is a cautious short. You're shorting into these big daily moving averages. However, there is enough space here to where one could get a nice trade in. I think just being cautious, maybe having to take profits quickly around the 59.55s, but definitely as we get down into these 59.20s, I would say that we probably want to be looking to take profit. Again, this is a cautious short for me. I am definitely more bullish than bearish. So this is just if the setup is very, very clean and it looks to be a short little scalp, possibly taking that short. But ultimately, I'm looking for this to hopefully hold and set up a long to upside. If we get above this, like we talked about, that's what we're looking for. So again, daily 200 moving average, daily 20 converging right here around the 6,000 or 5,900s. We have this big area up here that we just looked at on the daily chart, right around the 6,000 area. If that flips and we have a break and retest above that, that definitely could push this market to some new highs and get this thing really cooking. So moving back to NQ, I think we'll go to the daily. We have a similar picture going on NQ. That high coming in from back here in November, we did get a lot more push down through that level. It didn't hold nearly as cleanly as it did on ES, but again, we are seeing that major level come into play on NQ as well. So the fact that both of these markets have a critical level, in my opinion, right here, that definitely could flip bullish as well, or flip long and really give us some upside there too. The daily moving averages are sitting well below price on the NASDAQ right now, other than the daily 20 is starting to catch up here. But that's hold. The daily 20 is sitting right around a key point right here on the 21,230s. So something to look out for there. But again, there's a lot of things that talk and say bullish market here. And again, this one is not quite as clean as what we just looked at on ES. However, we're seeing a bit of a stair step. And if you look at the sideways day, yesterday's day is right here, pretty much sideways day, but we largely have held above the overnight session from Tuesday. That would be, yeah, Tuesday's overnight session. We've largely kind of stepped above that. If you see kind of a building block here and you put another block here, and today, is that block going to build again, and does that give us further upside? So that's why I put this level here. You've got a little bit of a reaction coming back here a week ago in this area. Let's zoom out back. No, nothing else here. So what we're looking for on the NASDAQ is if we get holds around this 21,700 level, 720, possibly sitting up a long into the high of day yesterday. That is a cautious long. That may be one to be, I maybe shouldn't have that one there just because of this. You've got some of this noise, so to speak, but it's not a lot. It's not like we're in one of these big channel areas. So that's definitely a long worth taking, I think, if the setup is clean. This one here, definitely worth taking down here below the 21,670s. If we get a pullback to there, that could definitely push that higher. If we fall below yesterday's low of day, coming in here around this big little move, it looks like I think we had some news yesterday that may have definitely shot this market up and down around the 10 o'clock hour, 10:30 hour, but definitely are some reactions coming into that low of day yesterday. If we fall below that and we fall below the 560s, I think on the NASDAQ, I'd be looking to take shorts. I may take a short here if that sets up, but again, I feel like we're looking more for longs, and if we get above, if this thing breaks above the 830s, definitely looking for longs. And there is a pretty nice long up into 22,000, and from 22,000, we have a big area right here that I think could really go, and that could set up a huge move on this market. So that's what I'm seeing. The key here again for me is if I see it, I need to execute on it, and I want to make sure that I get that done and stay the course and play the probabilities game. So that's the NQ and the ES, two very clear areas. Looking at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, we've got some reactions coming in here around the 42,550s. We did fall through that in the overnight. We've actually kind of chopped up and down through that. So you also could put a level here. This thin blue line is the low of the overnight session. There's definitely some reactions there. I'm not plotting a level. I'm just going to hold on to that. I'm going to hold on to the overnight level there. If that obviously changes here this morning with news, then we will plot a level, because there are some reactions coming in off that 42,450 level. So the thing I'm looking for on the Dow Jones is if we can get above this little, you could almost call this a bit of a flag pattern, but if you can get something above yesterday's low of day and this 42,550, if we can get something holding above there, we're definitely going to take that long higher. And if we can get something above the 42,770s, definitely going to take that long as well. I'm not really looking for shorts until we fall down below the 42,320s right now. Again, definitely going to play this a little bit based on what ES and NQ are doing. Obviously, the markets don't always move exactly the same, but it is worth noting if you get a reaction around a certain level, what are the other markets doing, and does it line up with my thesis that if the others are pushing higher, do we take the long? Let's not look for longs here if the other markets are shorting pretty heavily. So anyway, looking at that big picture on the Dow Jones, what does that look like? We're sitting right here. Price is sitting right around here. You've got, this is interesting. We have some reactions, some support coming in, resistance, I should say, back in July of last year, August of last year, and then that flipped to support around November. We had a little liquidity grab here in January. Flipped to we had rejections of that level coming in here in April, and we're kind of pushing right up against it. So we have a similar picture on the Dow Jones as what we do on NQ and ES of kind of a potentially major flip going on to push this thing higher. So that's interesting. But anyway, we'll be cautious about that, looking for longs if we get above kind of the daily 100 here, yesterday's highs and the low of day yesterday. If we get something in there, we possibly would take longs. And if not, if we fall below, we would possibly be looking for shorts as we get a flip around this 42,330 area. Russell, I'm going to talk about the Russell even though I may not trade it other than my evals. I'm not sure that I'm ready to trade PA accounts on the Russell yet, just because I've only traded it for a couple of days, a day maybe. I think I forget when I put it on the charts. I think just this week. But anyway, there are some areas to look at here. If you look at the daily moving averages, we get the daily 100 sitting here, and kind of like the other markets, we did have the big move up, kind of sideways from there. Yesterday's low of day and the overnight session are converging together, and there are definitely some reactions. I would definitely put a level here, and I will put a level here probably once this changes. Probably at the end of today, this is going to change, and so you could put a level here around the 2097s. If we get a hold of this and a push higher, that's something definitely to take a long off of into yesterday's high of day. If we get above the high of day yesterday in this 2120 area, definitely a big longs potential for further upside. Big potential for further upside there. If this thing flips below the daily 20 is sitting right around this very key level at the 20,080s. Look at how we held this. We flipped it. And so if you look at the Russell, we could be seeing a pullback to this level, which is why I have this long marked. If we get a pullback to this level to test this, and we hold that and we push back up, look at what that would have done. You would have had a support area turned into resistance right in here, turned back into support for further upside, and that would, if that pushes higher, and it corresponds with NQ and ES, definitely have an opportunity for something to further upside there. Daily chart, you have a hold coming in here. Look, we had not a clean area. I mean, this was more around the 2089s back here in June of 2024, and I hit something in that thing. Okay, there we go. We did hold kind of a liquidity grab here. We held that, but big picture, you could almost make the argument that this area right around the 115s or 100s was a support area, support turned into resistance here, and we're pushing against that resistance right now, again similar to what we looked at on ES and NQ. And if that flips, definitely could see some big upside potentially there. Look at that nice free open area all the way up here to the 2200s on the Russell. So definitely, again, this is charting these levels is not it is not rocket science. It is very easy to see where some of these major support areas turn into rejections, and that's the strategy that I use to trade is the break and retest of those key levels on the market. So again, kind of excited to see what we see with the Russell here, and maybe we get some positive trades there. Let's go back to ES. We're still holding above that. We've got about half hour until the news comes out, so we'll see what that does. But if that news keeps us in this area, these levels definitely could be in play, and we'll see what this market does today. So all right, we'll leave you with that. Have a great trading day today. Be careful out there, and let's go. Till next time, take care, and so long.